Welcome back to r/neighbors from hell, where people share stories about their crazy neighbors, and if you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community, and without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled, "Take down my tree or else." This did not happen to me, but it happened to my mother. My mom bought some choice property lakeside for really cheap. She has put 2 years of labor and her own off days to fix it up and take down all the underbrush to build her own place out there. The only problem was the neighbors. Around Christmas last year, a tree fell from our neighbor's yard into ours. Not an issue, Mom went to the neighbor's place to chip in some money to help get it off her yard. She offered $150, which is pretty gratuitous considering a basic tree removal package is about $400 and it wasn't her tree in the first place. There was about a third of the tree on our property, and honestly she probably could have taken it out with a chainsaw in 3 hours. But she did not have the time or energy to do it, which is understandable. The neighbors start negotiations that went something like this. Mom, well, I don't mind chipping in a bit to help move the tree off our properties. James, the neighbor, well, that would be super kind of you. We are looking at about $500 from you and we can pay the other $500. I'm sorry, what? I don't know what tree service you are using, but I'm sure I could find one cheaper than that so we could both save some extra money. No, we always use my brother's company. He does great work and I'm sure he would have it done in no time. Mom, your brother has a tree company? Jay, well, he does construction and he helped us build this place and he will help us out whenever we ask. Would he be willing to do it for less if he's your brother? What? No, he's a businessman. He might go lower for us considering we are family, but it would still be $500 for you. I'm sorry, but I cannot afford to pay $500 to have this removed off my property. Especially when I know I could get it removed entirely for $500 from someone else. Jay, well, you offered us the money to help and that is what we are asking for, so I'm sure this would all blow over after the $500 comes through. Mom refused, of course, and this pissed the neighbors off so much they took down the tree, but only on their side, so I went out and spent my weekend cutting the rest of the tree down with my mom. We eventually found out they liked trespassing to see the lake from our backyard, so we put up a fence. The day we put the fence up, James' wife comes out and moons us. We eventually called the cops with all the threats they were giving us, and lo and behold, they had not paid taxes on their house in 5+ years. Their scumbag brother did not build the house to code either. Let's just say they don't bother us anymore. And guys, please let me know in the comments if you still enjoy the neighbor stories, because in my opinion I really enjoy these neighbor stories because it has a lot of variety and I can look for these stories on different subreddits. And the next one is entitled Neighbor Expects My Gardener to Clean Her Garden for Free. This happened recently. I live in a unit complex, 20 units, where most of the neighbors know each other or have spoken at one point or another. One of the neighbors, Ben, has a lawn mower and mows everyone's lawns for free, important for later. I have been in isolation because of the virus for the past month and have been getting extra money from the government lately that I don't need. So I decided to put that money to good use and hire a gardener to fix up my front and back garden. The front garden is a complete mess. For the past 2 weeks he's been coming and going to fix up my front garden in small increments, not interacting with me directly for obvious reasons. This happened yesterday when my gardener was working on my front garden. One of my neighbors, Jessica, came up to the gardener. I have security cameras outside so I can see what is going on in the driveway, and began complimenting him on his great work. I popped my head out so I could hear what was being said, but they couldn't see me. Jessica, yeah, that looks really good. I think you're doing a really nice job. She started getting overly complimentary and I had a sneaking suspicion of what she was getting at. Jessica, not knowing I was around the corner and could hear everything, "You're doing such a good job here. Do you think you could work on my garden after you are done? I don't think OP would mind." Me coming around the corner, "Hi Jessica, what's up?" Jessica realizing she was busted. "Oh, hi OP. Well, I was saying what a good job your gardener has done so far. Do you think you would mind doing my garden as well?" Me, I'm sure he would not mind. It's $30 an hour or $300 for the whole day.
What? I'm not paying for it. You hired a gardener, so it's your responsibility to do my garden as well.
Me, I hired a gardener to do my garden. It is not up to me to pay for your garden to be done as well. Jessica,
but Ben mows the lawns for free. Your gardener should do my backyard for free too.
Me, sorry Jessica, but if you want a private gardener, you will have to pay for it like everyone else. Jessica,
but I'm on a disability pension and cannot afford that. Clearly you can.
Me, I'm on a disability pension too, so don't try that. I spend my money on important things, not the alcohol I see you buying all the time. So unless you are going to pay for his time, please let him get back to work. Jessica huffed and stomped off, and I haven't heard a peep from her since. But give it time, I'm sure she will be back soon enough to get more things for free. And guys, if you hate entitled neighbors but enjoy my stories, I would really appreciate it if you could post some star emojis in the comments and maybe even like the video. Thank you so much in advance. And the next one is titled, My upstairs neighbors finally moved. So to give you an idea of the hell I have been through, I will try my best to elaborate. These crab-faced people were a couple who had a dog and didn't ever speak when I would try to be nice and say hello. What started the BS was when they would leave their dog on the porch all day. The dog would then urinate on the porch and the urine would drain down to mine, which is disgusting. I left them a note letting them know and I got no response, so I contacted our leasing office. The manager contacted them to clean it up, but they never came, so the maintenance had to power wash my porch. It was after that incident when they started harassing me and my two daughters, stomping and running around the apartment. These are two grown adults. We had went out grocery shopping one day and they left dog poop on my porch on purpose. I contacted the office again with pictures of it and they said they would issue a warning. After multiple attempts to get them to stop stomping through the office, I ended up calling the non-emergency line and showed them the footage I had taken. It was completely irrelevant to them and they proceeded to run around right after the police left. Now I am fed up at this point, so I wrote them a note telling them how bitter and nasty they are. They decided to take me to court. What they petitioned for was a no contact order, saying I was invading their privacy by knowing their names and harassing them, and they also wanted to get out of their lease. The judge granted them a no contact order and a year to vacate the premises by default, since I didn't want to argue on that. Even after that, they still proceeded to jump and run in an attempt for me to contact them and potentially go to jail. I had enough videos to show the office how consistent this was, and they were hit with an eviction notice right after the judge granted them to leave. They eventually moved out within a month and decided to run around stomping again, leaving some grand exit, so I waited under the staircase and screamed, "See ya!" I am so thankful I don't have to go back and forth with those effing mental cases. Now my new neighbor is quiet and stays to herself like me. Yeah guys, and what's better than a neighbor who is not a crazy maniac? I gotta say, nowadays here in Thailand I am pretty happy that not many tourists are here when it comes to condos, because there is no one making a lot of noise at night or in the middle of the day, whatever. That of course makes it easy to record videos. In addition, obviously positive for me but less positive for the Thai people, currently there are not many flights, so I am not even bothered by any airplanes. And the next one is the title story, and it is titled, Landlord Gets $1,800 Blackmail by Threatening to Torpedo Mortgage Closing, Winds Up Costing Them Half of Their Rental Properties. I rented the bottom floor of a 3-floor house for 3 years. Paid the rent on time, and other than a few times something needed repaired, we pretty much left each other alone. Got a dog and a fiance during that time that both started living there, documented everything through emails, and they were very reasonable about the increases, no problem. Cut to about 5 months before the end of the 3rd year of the lease, we are getting married in about 6 months and decide it would make more financial sense to buy a starter house. We actually have a conversation with them to let them know we were thinking about not renewing the lease and why. An important note, the landlords were a husband and wife realty or realtor, I'm not sure, team that dabbled equally in rental ownership and being real estate agents, with the seal of the National Association of Realtors prominently displayed on every page on their website. They did not seem especially bothered by it, but were very interested in being our real estate agents. We said we would consider it. We wind up going with a personal family friend and finding a house that was what we were looking for in a price range we can afford. Put in an offer, some back and forth, and they accept, and we start the closing process. So we give 60 days notice to our landlords as required by the lease, down to the letter of the contract. They completely lose it. I would skip over several weeks of drama and threats to the ultimate throwdown. They sue me, as they hadn't actually ever added my fiancé to the lease, important point for later, for damages to the apartment before we had even moved out. Why? Because as they gloated several times as real estate agents, they knew we couldn't close on a mortgage with an active lawsuit against me, even if it was completely frivolous, and gleefully pointed out they could easily drag out the appeals for years. After talking to a lawyer who very kindly gave us a consultation at much reduced rate, thanks to us being referred to him from the local bar association, essentially confirmed what they were doing was super unethical but not strictly illegal, and it would be very easy for them to follow through with, even if the lawsuit was completely frivolous. In the end, we paid them $1,800 in blackmail, and I had to sign a confidentiality agreement, but we were able to close on the house. Now to the revenge part, some important notes. I'm an engineer who routinely works with municipal agencies, including the code enforcement department, so I am pretty familiar with codes and how the system works. The county law where I lived required that all rental properties be registered with the local township for tax purposes and issued a certificate of occupancy, which by the way requires a code inspection before it can be rented out. As most of the homes in the area are 50 to 100 years old, landlords routinely ignore these regulations as the code enforcement officers are usually too busy with buildings that are actively falling down to enforce them. So, after a few months of planning, I put my plan into action. Looking at the property records in that county, conveniently all online for free, I was able to compile a list of 15 rental properties they owned in the county, except the one we lived in due to the NDA. A quick weekend drive to take a few pictures of each one, and a letter was compiled. A concerned citizen, aka my fiancé, had looked at a rental property but was concerned that cracks in the basement foundation, good luck finding a house that age without them, might be structural, unlikely but possible, and wanted to make sure they had been inspected for safety before the certificate of occupancy had been issued. Extremely unlikely that one had ever been applied for, given our landlords. A copy of the letter for each property went to the code enforcement officer, tax official, and township council for each township for every property they owned. Condensing for space, she received several phone calls over the next few months from most of the township's officials. She stuck to the same script of being a potential renter and wanting to make sure their houses were inspected. Not one of the ones she received a call back about had been registered or inspected, and since all of this was now documented in their books, they were going to enforce the regulations. I don't have the actual numbers, but I imagine the costs of upgrading 100-year-old houses to the current rental code, much less 15, must be in the tens of thousands, not even considering the fees and penalties for not paying the correct higher taxes for years. Surprisingly, we never heard anything from our former landlords, though I like to think after that mountain of government hurt landed on them, they got a lawyer smart enough to tell them to stop poking the angry bear. I just ran a search in the property records for them again, and it seems they are now down to 8 rental properties in that county. It looks like a majority were sold within a year of us moving out, several at a loss. So, assuming we were the cause, it looks like $1,800 in blackmail cost them over $30,000 just in the sale of those properties at a loss, and almost half their rental income, not even considering the price of getting their other properties up to code. The icing on the cake, I CC'd my fiancé on a lengthy email chain from their business emails in which they conducted themselves in a completely unprofessional manner and admitted to some extremely unethical, though not illegal, practices, such as admitting the lawsuit was completely frivolous, but it didn't matter because I would pay up if I ever wanted to get a mortgage. They were stupid enough to reply back to all. So a copy of that entire email exchange was forwarded by my fiancé to the ethics officer and president of the local chapter of the National Association of Realtors they were members of, as well as the national ethics officer using the links to each organization they so helpfully had on their website. I got follow-ups from both asking if she wanted to file an official complaint. However, she explained that due to the confidentiality agreement, we did not think we could file an official complaint without getting into shaky legal ground, but we wanted them to know what kind of people were using their organization's name and reputation. They said it was definitely something they would look into, but we never heard anything back. When I went to their website tonight, all of the National Association of Realtors references had been removed, and according to the membership list on the website, they are no longer members of the local chapter. I like to think we had a hand in that. And the next one is titled, "Man Threatens to Shoot My Grandmother's Cats." Hey guys, got a short story from my childhood. Sorry if it is a little patchy, but I did my best to remember it. Not the landlord, but a recently passed from cancer family friend was the landlord. A couple moved into the house they rented out in the boonies. It was right next door to my grandma's. The man in the house was rude and kept trying to terrorize my grandmother's dogs. A very sweet and scared of water pit bull mountain cur mix that she rescued from a neglectful owner. And my grumpy half-pug half-mystery pup that I got after my childhood dog passed away. I say mystery pup because his mother got loose the day she was scheduled to be fixed and came home pregnant. Where the land is a large wooded hill next to their land that connects to my grandma's. She has a dog pen in a creek. She is a very sweet cancer survivor and retired nurse married to a war veteran, now avid gardener who enjoys feeding abandoned wildcats. Don't worry. My grandma catches and fixes the cats. If a cat comes to her pregnant, she provides care for the kittens, fixes them and gives them a flea bath before adopting them out. I grew up learning how to care for many animals. Anyways, getting back to the story. The cats have to pass the slither of grass right next to the hill to come home for supper time. At first he would just shout at them, but then one day he came up to her and threatened to shoot her cats if he saw them on his land again. Yeah, that didn't work out too well for him. My grandma told our family friend, his landlord, and with some others issues, he and his possibly drugged up girlfriend were immediately evicted. Out in the country, everyone knows each other. You don't get to threaten a sweet old lady's cats and get away with it, especially if she is friends with the landlord. For a little tidbit, I included the now passed pups. The pitbull mountain cur mix named Johnny Bigfoot passed from an unknown heart condition when he was a little over 10 years old. The half-pug, half-mystery pup named Pexel passed away from old age at the age of 18. Love and miss my boys. And guys, I forgot to mention, this story was posted by user Pirate Panpan on our own subreddit r/ripestories, and Panpan was nice enough to also post pictures of the dogs in the story. Here you go. And guys, unfortunately we have already reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories, and if you haven't already, please also go to patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where I upload exclusive Reddit videos starting at just $3 a month. This is a great way to support me in case you are interested, and the chance for me to become independent from YouTube revenue. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.